Oilers Now digital content is sponsored by Legacy Heating and Cooling. No payments and no interest for a year. That's how you build a legacy.
All right, let's do this right to the chase. Your thoughts when word dropped that Connor McDavid was signing a 2-year extension at $12.5 million?
Get details, find details, work the phones, try and figure it out. It's like panic when you're in my job when, it's kind of like the news hits, and so it just becomes about trying to get information out there. When you find out that it's 2 years at 12.5, probably like a lot of people, Bobby, the old jaw hits the desk. And then you sort of regroup from that and just kind of get back down to work again. So I think this is obvious, right? It's a fantastic deal for the Oilers. It's an opportunity for McDavid to take a look and see what the next couple of years looks and feels like, with a legitimate chance to stay within their Stanley Cup window. And it just backs up everything McDavid has been saying from the start, Bobby, which is it's all about winning. I mean, he said that at the end of last season. He said it when he arrived back in town. He's maintained it. He walked the walk here. So what a phenomenal deal for the Oilers. The 12.5 is unreal. The 2, not so much. But let's see what they can get done.
And again, we don't know. So the Oilers have him for the next 3 years. We're not sure where the cap is beyond those 3 years. The Oilers have a window here. And Stan Bowman, fair to say he's been cooking? Would you agree with that? It's been pretty active.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing I'll say is, are you sure it's 3 years? And I don't want to, I'm not trying to, cause issues or create it, but here's the thing.
Way to go, Ryan.
Well, I'm just saying, we're going to be right back in this exact same spot in 2 years, after 2 seasons. And it's going to be, are you signing? Are you not? Are you this? Are you that? Are you? And I think, let's say the world exists where, let's say McDavid, for whatever reason, decides that a change is going to be made. Maybe after that second year, or that first year of the new deal, I would use that as much of an inflection point as after 3 seasons, Bob. I would say 2 seasons to see where it's at.
I don't think there was any surprise with the response of the fans at Rogers Place on Wednesday night when he was announced.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. And Stan Bowman consummated a deal that he'd worked on for weeks and weeks and weeks with Jake Wallman, a 7-year extension, $7 million. That also was announced Monday in the early afternoon, and then boom, Wednesday morning, Matthias Ekholm, a 3-year extension at $4 million. Ryan, your thoughts on those 2 signings?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Wallman one, it makes sense. I think Stan Bowman was really adamant last year in and around the deadline, Bob. They weren't looking for big shutdown, tree stump defensemen, right? They weren't looking for the big penalty killer, the 6'6". Stan Bowman has believed from the beginning that the way to complement this group was with additional puck movers. And so they targeted a specific type of player. I think surprised some people and grabbed Wallman. And I think what it's about, Bob, is the investment that they've made in draft picks and capital. It just really increases the value of that trade when you re-sign the player. When you retain a player and make them a core part of your organization, it just helps. And for an organization that's moving a lot of asset out, the cupboards get bare real fast if you don't retain those assets. And so it was the right player, the right fit. Sounds like strategically they made it very clear to Wallman from the beginning their intentions with the player. I think that was smart. Put him in the headspace to actually be thinking, could I be here beyond the other year left on my deal here? And I think they handled that really well. I'm okay with the number, with the cap going where it is. And quite frankly, I'm okay with the number on Matthias Ekholm too. I think that deal gives Matthias Ekholm a chance to age gracefully, Bob.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is whether he's a second pairing defenseman in the second or third year of that deal or a third pairing defenseman, that's going to be the market for a good, solid number 5 defenseman, is in and around that range anyways. So whatever Ekholm has to give them on the ice through the life of the back half of this deal, I think it's going to be okay and look okay.
Ryan, November the 20th last year, a guy tweeted out, "For what it's worth, in my opinion, the Edmonton Oilers' most logical addition via trade at some point will be a puck-moving second-pairing defenseman with a little bit of term left. Doesn't necessarily need to be a right shot, but the player needs to be comfortable playing the right side."
Who tweeted that?
A guy you know.
You have to be more specific, Bob. I know lots of people.
Well, you're talking to him right now, so
by chance, could it be you? Okay, all right.
Got one right.
I got you.
What I loved, I mean, Stan told me what he was going to do. He says, we're going to move first and second round picks. We're going to try to make some additions to the team, and we're going to sign the guys that we trade for, and then we're going to turn around. And with the lost draft capital, we're going to sign some older players out of Europe as well as North America. Now, yesterday, Ryan had an event with the Oilers partners draft that Jack Michaels and myself co-emceed. We had Stan there for a little hot stove, and he talked about the fact that on July 1st, the Oilers had a couple targets. And the targets were Andrew Mangiapane and Jack Roslovic, and they thought they'd be able to get one. Well, as it turned out, Ryan, they got two. This thing kind of worked out to the Oilers' advantage on Roslovic, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I think that it's I understood why they would have been looking at him back then. I think when you see Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson and they don't work out and they move on and there's clear holes, and then you look at Ike Howard and you look at Savoy and you think, okay, maybe one of those guys could fill one of those holes eventually in the next 6-8 months whenever they're comfortable. They needed to find good players, and they needed to find good players at decent dollars. So Mangiapane goes in the first wave, right? That's where everybody's spending the money. You're paying close to market value. That's in the first wave. Jack Roslovic was supposed to be part of that first wave, Bob, as you know. He probably should have been part of that first wave in a deal probably $3 million plus, maybe even a little bit more. But for whatever reason, he didn't agree to terms with anybody. I think the Oilers are very much in on it at that point. He held fast, and that first wave passed. And sometimes once that first wave goes, you're a little bit out of thought, a little bit out of mind, and you're not up on the whiteboards anymore. And for whatever reason, he just ended up, he ended up there and available. So for them to get a guy who could potentially get you 20 goals, depending on the role that he's playing, can score even strength goals, who makes you faster at $1.5 million. I know, Bob, he was healthy scratched in the playoffs. I know he had trouble when it mattered most, getting Rod Brind'Amour to trust him. And yes, that's a red flag. That doesn't just go away. But even if worst case scenario ends up in that position again, it's not like you got $4 or $5 million sitting in the press box. It's $1.5 million. This is well worth it. Yeah. And this is a good player.
Yeah, this is a low-risk play for the Edmonton Oilers, right?
Totally agree with you.
It's that simple. And, there was a lot of background research being done there. He's, this is a team where Patrick Maroon came in and scored 27 goals. Alex Chiasson came in on a PTO and scored, signed for $650,000 and scored 22 goals. There could be an opportunity to start the year, especially given the fact we expect him to play game number 3 against the Rangers. The Oilers won't have Zach Hyman for the first 10 games of the year because he's out with LTIR.
So let me ask you this, though, Bob, if I can. Just because it's, when you sign a guy, everybody looks at Hockey DB and it's all roses and everything, but what's your understanding of what happened and why he wasn't able to get into the mix properly with Brind'Amour and why he was on the outside looking in? And are there parts of his game that are going to need to get to a better place for that not to happen in Edmonton?
Ryan, can there be anything more humbling than what occurred to him this year? His agent, Claude Lemieux, he probably thought he could get Roslovic, at least a 3-year deal, mid-threes. Yeah. And doesn't happen. He ends up changing agents. He goes to Justin Duberman, who, as you know, represented both Drake Caggiula and Matt Benning in the past. He's based in Chicago, got the connection. He's looking to jumpstart things. And usually when players are more desperate, they're more dialed in. That's the usual rule of thumb. So I think it's $1.5 million. They have Hyman coming off LTIR November the 1st. Which brings us to the two kids, Savoy and Howard. And, Hyman's a right shot. He has played a little bit of left wing, but not a lot of left wing in Edmonton. Roslovic is a right shot. Kasperi Kapanen is a right shot. Matt Savoy, bit of a trend here, isn't there?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And even look at the back end with Regula, who has done extremely well so far. These right shots, you just can't have enough right shots in your organization, and the Oilers have needed them over the last little bit. I'm interested to see how Savoy responds to because more than anybody, this was a tough one for Matt Savoy. For the Oilers to get their hands on a 22-goal scoring guy that would basically be sitting at his place at the dinner table, and to do it for $1.5 million, that's a tough break for that guy, because similar type of player in terms of some offensive ability. So this is going to be a challenge for him. But you know what? If you want to be a Stanley Cup contender, you want to be in the NHL, you're going to have to compete with really good players. And now there's a better player for him to have to crawl over top of to be where he wants to be. And not ideal for him, but I think it's a great challenge for him. And I'm fascinated to see how he responds, because, yes, they're teammates, but there's internal competition, man, and there's not enough room for everybody on this team right now.
No, and there's going to have to be some decisions made when Jake Walman gets activated. We're joined by Ryan Rishaug from the Got Your Back podcast and TSN. Ryan, what do you envision happens when Walman gets activated?
I'm not sure what Chris is going to do. It's kind of two questions. What do I think the coach is going to do, and then what do I think he should do? First of all, on the blue line, I just want to say, if let's say Walman were ready to play tomorrow, Bob, I'd have Regula in ahead of Amberson. I would. I was impressed enough in the first game. I know as it sped up and as the Flames woke up, I thought it was a little more tough for him, but I really like what I've seen from this player. And it's nothing against Amberson, but every time I see Regula play, I end up feeling like I'd like to see more of that guy.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of that guy. So from a blue line standpoint, if he were in tomorrow, that's something that I would have liked to have seen. Doesn't sound like he's going to be in. Roster-wise, I mean, what do they need to do, Bob? When they activate Walman, they got to get somebody down, right? They got to move somebody off the roster. They got to move some money. Is it Stetcher? Is that enough? What's the combinations that they need?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's one, as long as they're in LTIR right now because of Zach Hyman, all it is one roster move.
It's a roster spot. So I wonder if they don't, decrease the numbers on the blue line by one. They're not going to want to expose Regula to waivers. They're just not.
No.
They're not going to want to expose Noah Philp if they don't have to. Curtis Lazar, they signed him for a reason here. There seems to be some belief in him, though I haven't seen a ton from him so far.
Right.
So that would be, if they were to make that move, I would get that. I would go, that makes sense based on what we've seen. But they got a lot of defensemen here. So Stetcher, maybe I could see, or Lazar. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think those are, at this stage, are the two obvious ones. All right, I want to get to something that occurred Wednesday night that we both did not like. Not enough pushback. Adam Klapka ran around a bit. I watched some of Adam's games in the minors. I wouldn't call him a heavyweight. he's sort of a tweener, despite the fact that he's a huge man. He's not the most proficient scrapper out there. Like when they had the Gallant guy, that guy was tough, right? So where I'm going with this is, did you think there was enough of a response with Klapka on Wednesday night?
No, I think there were some missed opportunities, right? So if you're Trent Frederick and you're playing on the line with these big guys and these big guns and you're getting a decent amount of ice time, I think you've just signed this long-term deal. You've got this element that everybody knows you have that not a lot of guys on the team have. There was once or twice on the ice where I felt like Klapka, after whistles, was getting a little surly with people. Even during play, was getting a little surly with people. It might have been Ekholm he was into it with after a whistle. Yeah. And I would have liked to have seen Trent Frederick just be all over those situations. And whether it results in a fight or not, I don't really care. If it gets to that, fine, and Frederick would handle himself well. I just think you can't lose sight of one of the intangibles that earned you that. And maybe he didn't see it. Maybe he was unaware. I'm not sure. I'm not going to question the player. Everything I've ever seen from him tells me he's more than willing and more than capable. And maybe it's just the gravity of what he's taking on right now, being on that line. But I think there were opportunities there, Bob, for him to sort of draw a line in the sand and say, no. I am here, and nobody is to be trifled with while I'm here, and especially in a Battle of Alberta. So I think there could have been a little bit more there, and I'd like to see that moving forward.
All right. We're going to get accused here of burying the lead. Final discussion point. You know where we're going next. Alex Nedeljkovic last night looked at Stuart Skinner after the giveaway on the 3-3 goal and said, hold my beer, because he didn't have one, but he had two terrible sequences in that San Jose game last night Where are you at with Stuart Skinner? Distinct possibility Calvin Pickard starts tomorrow. He was the first goalie off the ice today. He's already got a segment of the fan base on him after that giveaway. Well,
that's never going to change. Like, the goaltenders in Edmonton are always going to have a segment of the fan base on them unless they're a perennial Vezina candidate. That's just the way it is. Oiler fans they're smart. They know what the body of work is overall. What I would say about it happening in Game 1 is it's unfortunate. Unfortunate for Stu, not ideal. Needed to get through a game clean, whether you win or lose, just get through a game clean without any bad ones, and he had an absolutely horrendous one. But the Oilers have made the decision. They're going to let it ride here with Skinner for a little bit. There's a new voice in his ear working with him at the goaltending coach position. Looks like he's made some changes in the offseason. They've committed to seeing what they have for a chunk of time here with Stuart Skinner. Not a great start. What I would say to you, Oiler fan, that is worried, don't worry. If Stuart Skinner is not capable of handling this, he won't be here. He will not be in net for Game 1 of the playoffs if he does not clearly show to the team this year that he's going to do a better job of handling that than he has in the past. So I'm not going to panic after one game, but I think we all know that Skinner's on the clock here.
100%.
And so don't panic if you're an Oiler fan. Stan Bowman's able to get things done, and when he decides that really needs to be done now, it'll probably get done.
Yeah.
If he does.
Absolutely. No question. I agree with you. He's on the clock. Ryan, tell us about the Got Your Back podcast.
Yeah, ready to rock and roll for post-game tomorrow. We're basically just going to go post-game after most games this year, Bobby, and we'll have the odd one on the off night. So me, Rob Brown, Jason Strudwick, and 4 episodes a week, buddy.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for your time, Ryan.
Yeah, happy to be back with you, Bobby. Been looking forward to this all week.
All right, there we go. That's Ryan Rishaug from the Got Your Back podcast at TSN.